Hi, folks. Yeah, let me first confirm that we're really live streaming. Okay, looks like the live stream started. Let's see if anyone is interested with the topic. Hey, what's up, Ace?
Mary, I ain't got no little lamb no more.
What?
Can you hear me?
What did you say?
I said, Mary, I ain't got no little lamb no more.
Wait, is it the song?
Yeah.
But
Mary is now grown up.
Mary is now grown up. Let me Google that.
No, I'm just messing with you, man.
You know what? In the morning, come on.
I'm always ready to go anytime, right?
Yeah, I mean, your voice, sound, and the fact that you're not turning on your video suggests that you just woke up.
No, I've been awake for a while.
Okay. Because you sound strange, like you have running nose or something. No?
Yeah, I do have running nose.
Oh, okay.
It's been
So
running
then,
consistently.
then you should get a drink to get healthier. That's what we do in Poland.
Oh,
Yeah.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, alcohol is, like
Mhm.
it's like a good medicine if you're not overdose.
And I've got whiskey. So
No, it has to be pure alcohol. So pure, not flavored,
white.
not flavored vodka. Vodka, yeah. Not even white. It's
Oh,
like a. Actually, what color is water and vodka? It's not white, right? It's transparent.
colorless.
Colorless. White would be Malibu, I think, and Malibu is definitely way too sweet and not strong enough.
Yeah.
So 4 minutes passed. I think MI56, he planned to join. He actually asked me yesterday if we still have the meeting. But he's not here. So I guess we can, like, if you joined, you joined just because you're nice or you're interested?
I'm interested.
Perfect. You aware of the subject, right?
Yeah.
So the idea is basically, actually, it's maybe I'll share my screen. That will be the best. Let me share my screen, baby. Actually, we should have Sergio here. He submitted the issue. We're just trying.
I think he's not feeling too well, right?
Yeah. People are sick all around. Like, There's some global sickness. You see the screen?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, nice. So just for others that are watching, we're started this call for 2 reasons. Some time ago, Sergio opened an issue like, hey, that would be nice to have a poster with some basic features at a glance, basically what I interpret as a concept called cheat sheet. Oh, Sergio.
He made it.
Sergio, good morning, sir.
Morning.
Okay, cool. So yeah, just to continue. So that was this idea. The problem was we had no idea what exactly has to be in such a cheat sheet, and also who could design this poster. But now we have a volunteer that would UI UX designer that is willing to help out with the outline how this cheat sheet should look like. And that's why we started this call to basically brainstorm what should be in the in this cheat sheet. But before we go into this discussion and brainstorming, something that I wanted to highlight, like to think about as well, is that like at the beginning we were always like not going forward because like there's no designer who could do the cheat sheet. So yeah, we were using this as an excuse that we don't have to provide content. But now I like recently I learned about this roadmap SH, this open source project that is a collection of all different cheat sheets and other kind of posters with some like, you know what I'm trying to say, like
Yeah, I think I've seen this website before.
yeah. And I noticed recently that they are like one of the, I think, 5 top most popular GitHub projects. Yeah, it's like they have like 150,000 GitHub stars or something like this. Like, let me double check, but if they would only have GitHub link. Okay, I'm not gonna be able to quickly double check. But yeah, but anyway, whatever we come up with, I think it would make sense to also put it maybe here. But yeah, anyway, so since Sergio cannot speak yet, I was thinking that the biggest challenges with AsyncAPI is that like what people actually think about if when they think about AsyncAPI. Is it just really the spec and they really just need a cheat sheet for the spec, or they actually need a cheat sheet for tooling as well, or they need a mix? Like that's something that is hard for me to understand, because like the last time I was using cheat sheets was when I was using when I was learning Kubernetes actually a few years ago. So I usually look into cheat sheets when I learn some new tech. So I don't have good experience as a user of cheat sheet. You know what I mean? Like, Ace?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, like when I use cheat sheets, it's mostly just one particular should I say tech or one particular stuff. So I barely see a cheat sheet with a mixture of, let's say, different toolings. So it mostly always like separated. So you have like cheat sheet for this particular tool in a particular place. So I don't think the idea of like mixing the spec and the tooling all together, I think wouldn't that be like overwhelming?
It might. It definitely might. So like so what you're basically saying is that like there's one cheat sheet for that highlights async API specification features. There's another cheat sheet for async API CLI, for example.
Yeah, I mean that would be better than like having everything in just one single cheat sheet.
Yeah, I agree.
So basically first we need to identify a possible like so when you say like so how what do we say like so we call it scopes or we call it like so when we identify, let's say, okay, so one poster is async API spec, the second one is async API CLI, so how do we call them, like topic, scopes, no, area?
I mean, I really don't know what to call it.
Yeah, Jesus, like I suck at English.
It is like the subject, right?
Subject, yeah. Thank you, Sergio. So what? So we have, you can see my screen still, right? You see my notes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So cheat sheet subjects, async API specification. Now async API CLI, or are we rather because like there I can imagine a nice cheat sheet that tells you like how to quickly work with your async API spec files, like that you can do async API CLI, or you can like, you know, like a cheat sheet even with a studio link with a query parameter URL where you can like quickly open your remote spec file, you know, in a browser. So that would that be async API CLI and async API Studio separately? Does it make sense, or rather async API in action or something else?
I like the way serverless workflow does. Is this the example I pasted in the issue? This.
Okay, so they mix.
I don't think they mix. I think this would be just, in our case, the specification, right? And maybe just list tools, or, you know, because, for example, in the bottom, you have the just naming that they have a Visual Studio Code extension.
Yeah.
Maybe we could generate for the spec one, and here, yeah, this stuff here. We could do something similar with CLI, generator, studio, I don't know. And then if we want, then create one cheat sheet for all of them, or for each of them, or not. But I
mean, I think we should.
Most important. Yeah, sorry.
We should like probably like have one cheat sheet for the toolings. I mean, like honestly, if we have like different cheat sheet for each tooling, I think then that would be too much. I mean, like, so we can like have one for the spec, then one for the toolings. Just something similar to like this serverless workflow for toolings.
So one for all tools, or for the most important tools, right?
For the most important ones, yeah.
But then it's gonna be big, and it's gonna be a mix. Because like serverless workflow, it's a nice example, but in we have much more tools, like it's more complex, more cases that you could use it for. So I would say like specification only, of course, but then I would say because working with AsyncAPI is one cheat sheet, and AsyncAPI case studies or tools. So and why I think it should be two separate cheat sheets, because like from my perspective, there are two different types of tools. One type of tool is the one that basically helps you out working with AsyncAPI documents, manage them, like check differences, optimize, edit. But the other set of tools are fulfilling a case study, like tooling for generating documentation, tooling for generating code, tooling for generating just models, tooling for other stuff. You know what I'm so that's because like we have many tools. If we have one cheat sheet for just all the tools, it's gonna be a big poster, a pretty big poster.
Okay, so well, that makes sense, but I'm just like kind of concerned when it comes to like having different like cheat sheets for each tool. I mean, like you have to like download multiple cheat sheets when you're trying to like work.
Yeah, so like I mean so it's not per tool, I would say. So working with AsyncAPI, it would be basically highlighting CLI, Studio, because in the CLI you can and Studio, it's like their basics, and then VS Code plus IntelliJ. IntelliJ, that's how you write it. IntelliJ, I think.
Well,
sorry.
with two double L, yes.
Double L, IntelliJ. Yeah. Oh yeah. Thanks, Christoph. So that's what I mean by working with AsyncAPI, and it's just like really the basic tools like CLI. You can do diff, blah blah blah, and then case study. Again, it's a highlight of some different tools for different case studies, and then if somebody wants to have CLI only, or generator, or blah blah blah, everything else, it's completely fine, because there will be a lot of content. Like even for Modelina, there would be nice to have a cheat sheet with some like basic ideas how to quickly add preset or whatever. But that is something I would say is out of scope for this particular discussion, as this all depends on the maintainers of a given tool, if they can help out with the content. So does it make sense for you, like Ace, and for your concern? So that's what basically I suggest here. So instead of one poster for all the tools, we have two posters, one for tools that are for working with AsyncAPI documents, and the other one is for tools that help to complete some case study.
Okay, I mean, like we could work with this one. I mean, this makes more sense.
Yeah. Christoph, feel free to speak up if you want.
Yes, I'm sorry, I I didn't dare. I actually jumped in this call, and I'm so happy that you're doing it. I just noticed it a couple of minutes ago. We're actually working on the exact same topic of building a cheat sheet, but then our first focus was on OpenAPI, and we thought I was having that conversation with the team just today. If we do it for OpenAPI, then we're going to do it also for AsyncAPI. So it's just an amazing opportunity to discuss that with you all. So
nice.
I'm super happy.
Cool.
Wow.
We actually, I'm the least technical person in the room, and I apologize for that because I'm going to be of little help. But I definitely want to bring that up to the rest of my team because obviously, if there are joint efforts we can have, we're all about it. Right now, what I can say is that from my understanding, what we're working on is the first version that you have been listing right here. So this AsyncAPI specification, we're working on a cheat sheet really for the specification of OpenAPI. And that's the reason why we saw it. Well, they're pretty similar, right? OpenAPI and AsyncAPI after all. So that's where we can probably spin it off as, two similar versions. So yeah, I will do my best to contribute to this goal, but I probably will have to remain silent in order to avoid saying anything stupid.
No, there's definitely you definitely cannot make stupid comments because we anyway don't go very much into technical details here. So for example, it's very interesting when you write surrounding ecosystem you wrote in the chat. So you're suggesting like a cheat sheet that also highlights surrounding ecosystem, like different tools that work with AsyncAPI, not just AsyncAPI tools, but like BumpSH or others. That's what you mean?
Yeah. So, of course, please see me as, somebody belonging to an organization that is commercial. I'm not only open source. I mean, I love to contribute to open source, but I have this bias, of course. Yes, I want to find opportunities to talk about my awesome product because I believe in it and so on. But no, it's not, fully compatible with pure open source. So I don't want, it's always this thin line between suggesting great tools that can actually help a developer community and avoiding to push commercially some products. I don't want to do that. So it's about finding the right balance, of course. And obviously, you don't want to have a mention of any sort of commercial products and a cheat sheet that is fully oriented towards open source stuff.
Not necessarily, in my opinion.
Okay.
So like as long as we make it clear and it's a cheat sheet that highlights, for example, so we have a cheat sheet for open source, but we have also highlight for commercial. I think it's it shouldn't be a problem. So I saw it also in other communities that even in official documentation, there are sections that highlight what are the managed services for a given service that people can use. As long as we allow anyone to promote in the same equal stuff, I think it's still beneficial for the community. Like a lot of community members are enterprises and they don't always want to just use open source. They're ready to pay for services. And if we can make it easier for them to discover the tools in one place, I mean, I personally don't see a problem with that.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. So even if like I personally sometimes mention to people like BumpSH on my own as a solution. So if there's a cheat sheet with commercial ecosystem and we mention Solus for different case study, BumpSH for different case study again, I don't think it would be a problem. Not sure what others think, but yeah. Sergio, Ace, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree.
Does that mean that, I mean, there's one page that I'm familiar with, again, in the OpenAPI ecosystem, but maybe it could be of some inspiration for building that surrounding ecosystem cheat sheet. So that link, so OpenAPI tools, which is listing as much as possible an exhaustive list of all tools that could support in using OpenAPI. And
it also has commercial tools, right?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. Like, so we have similar, and it's completely, when you go to AsyncAPI.com tools, so we,
yes,
we have it, and by by design.
Yes, awesome. Oh, I'm sorry, I totally ignored that.
Oh, I mean, we did not yet. I think we had just one-time communication when we implemented the site. But again, like if we make it transparent and we make it clear that something is commercial, and we allow any provider to promote in the tools dashboard, again, it's completely. I don't think it violates any open source standards. It's
That's great.
Yeah.
Maybe I have just one question, because I realized all of a sudden that, you know, we had something in our minds when we started talking about a cheat sheet, and potentially there's some differences. You talk about a poster. Are you really there talking about a printable version that could be distributed, for instance, during conferences? This is what we had in mind, but I'm starting to think maybe it's something different that you have in mind.
So from my point of view, when I think about this kind of cheat sheets, they are usually PDFs, PNGs, one page, ready for printout.
Yes.
So yeah, that's also what I think others think about. Like Sergio, you probably think the same, right? When you say poster.
Yeah. The thing here would be to have somehow the source in usually SVG, right? Or something
yeah. Like
yes.
so.
Yeah, as far as we have that, we can create any other format from it, right?
Okay. Awesome.
But regarding your question about printable versions, or similar, I think it was written in the issue when I created, like, a lot of time ago, but the idea wasn't directly mean for printing, like for conferences, but I think we are not close to that, right? Maybe it's a good idea to share it. If I don't know if it's gonna be useful, to be honest, to give it to people, like, but I don't know. I guess it depends on the design, and if we make it useful for people in the physical version, like in the printable version, maybe, links are not gonna work, of course.
Yes.
So we will have to add some QR codes or things like that. I don't know. Yeah. I will have in mind both things, like printable version and the digital version, but all together, right? Like that works for any context, if that's possible.
Yeah.
And if it makes sense, of course.
Yeah, I think we should aim for it, because like I remember in the past when I was using cheat sheets, I was always printing them out. I hate to read them from the screen. Not sure why, but yeah, I was always printing them out and putting on the board.
So it's actually a great question indeed, because definitely that point about links and QR codes and so on, they come up just directly.
The point is that we will need a link for the website, right? Like, for example, referring to the documentation. I don't think we need that, but for example, the thing that Lucas shared, that you can open an example of this in Studio right directly. Because whenever you open AsyncAPI Studio, you can load with base 64 encoded query parameter, you can load a document. So for things like that, I think it makes sense to add QR codes, right? Like, or for open tooling. I don't know if for open tooling URLs makes sense, but definitely for things like open this example in Studio or something like this. I don't know.
Yeah. For $ref for $URL, probably QR code is not needed because it's just an example. But if there's some quick other stuff like open Kafka example with just one link, then yeah, we should definitely make, because I can imagine it's a long URL. So QR code would be nice. Although I personally don't like QR codes, because then I'm forced to use mobile.
Otherwise, if we feel doesn't feel right to have so many links or QR codes or whatever, we could just add one to the digital version of like this SVG or the PDF, something that it's clickable and you can navigate through, you know, like open this cheat sheet in a website and then you can click on links or whatever. I don't know. This could be an alternative.
Oh yeah, that sounds good. Yeah.
In fact, that will if there is a new version, so you will always reach the new version of the cheat sheet. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or maybe we want to combine both things.
Yeah. Okay. Can we try to go more into details of specific cheat sheet, or is there anything else you'd like to discuss before we go into details? Okay, so because for me the most challenging is that when I think about cheat sheet for AsyncAPI specification, and my brain says like, yeah, we should highlight servers, we should highlight security, blah blah blah. But like, is it this way that we want to do it? So basically, what, like highlight all the root elements, or rather come from like feature explanation point of view? So instead of like highlighting all the core, like servers are for blah 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 and be boring, or rather we should have a cheat sheet that says like you know, there's a section reusability, and in section reusability you can you have like two different features highlighted. Hey, you put stuff in components so you can use $ref, or put stuff in traits so you can use traits also for reusability. I guess that's the second option is how we want to do it, right? So rather have it as a like an not FAQ, but like basically structure is from the feature perspective, not just to blindly highlight all the elements from the AsyncAPI spec. You know what I mean?
So again, you know, with the reservation that I'm not so technical, we've been having exactly the same discussion. And at first, you know, I was browsing through the entire OpenAPI specification, and I started thinking, well, if I'm starting myself to write a cheat sheet about it, I'm going to have just to print out the entire specification, which is probably useless. So we came down to you know, focusing on anything that is mandatory or that we would highly recommend using from the specification. And indeed, you know, of course, with a nice focus on schemas and anything that is reusable that would, you know, make your contract file dry at the end. So yeah, we were thinking of, for now, a 3-column display of, the basic document structure in the first column, with all root level fields and info sections and server sections. Then the middle column would be about the API structure. So, well, in OpenAPI with, paths and operations, requests, responses, and so on. But again, every time listing anything that is really mandatory or that we highly recommend. And the third column focusing then on schemas and data types and reusing elements and tags.
Which actually makes sense. So you first highlight all, so you actually do a mixture. So you highlight all the core elements with basic explanation what they're for, and then focus on the features. Yeah.
Yes. Again, it's really that idea of, okay, when you start writing a contract file, you need to have the broad overview and then make sure that you don't forget those key elements. And because otherwise, if you go beyond that, then yes, you're basically rewriting the entire specification on the cheat sheet and then print out a book, right? Not a poster anymore.
So reusability.
Now, if I may, there is one amazing diagram that I have seen on AsyncAPI's documentation, to which I recently contributed, which I think, can give a great
Yeah, I think I know which one you're referring to.
wireframe of the whole thing. Yes.
Yeah.
This was amazing. When I stumbled upon this, I just found, well, Well, I mean, I don't want to mingle in UX and design in general, because obviously somebody from the community is starting to be, interested in working on that. But I think this is, a great source of inspiration.
Mhm. So it's reusability, $ref traits. Then I think we definitely need to have, because many people that come to event-driven architectures and AsyncAPI, like in OpenAPI, it's easy, just HTTP. But in case of AsyncAPI, it's a bunch of different protocols. So probably we should have also a section like protocol specifics. So we highlight bindings, what there are for different protocols, even where to find the repository for bindings. I'm biased by 2x version, where we have this issue with publish subscribe. Might be that we don't have it anymore because of send receive in version 3, but I will anyway highlight it. I think we have to have this specific section about pub sub versus send. So we make it clear, like how to specify that that a given operation is for typical publish, subscribe or not.
So I mean, like, is this when it comes to AsyncAPI specification, like this cheat sheet for AsyncAPI specification, are we like solely like focusing on version 3, or because now you said we might not highlight pops up.
Yeah, because like I imagine that before we have it finished, 3.0 will be out. That's my wishful thinking.
Okay. Makes sense.
But doing 2.0 version out of it would not be very difficult. I think the only maybe examples would change a bit, and instead of talking about send receive, we will talk about publish subscribe operations. So from a cheat sheet perspective, there's not much difference, I would say.
I'm just kind of curious, like, how are you going to like highlight that? I mean, in the cheat sheet.
How? I'm not sure yet.
I'm just like trying to like see the whole picture.
Yeah, I have to go back. Like, so I was sometime doing a workshop about event-driven architectures, and I remember that I was explicitly having this kind of highlight of I was like basically key concepts talking about it. So I remember that I was talking about pops up. So I'll just go back to my recordings and my brain and try to figure out what I was talking about. But yeah, we have to like for example, this concept, I think it's important to also highlight this, that it's not that many people come from broker centric world. And in docs, we have this actually concept document about server, I think. Yeah, that we talked that there are two different worlds. Like many people come from this broker-centric world, but there's also this client server especially with WebSocket. So might be that we have to have even such a thing for a cheat sheet, like that somebody can look on the cheat sheet and immediately understand that it's not only for people that know brokers. Yeah. So yeah, I'm just like making basically notes, but that's definitely an editable sentence, not written in stone. So if something is hard to explain, then we probably shouldn't do it. But yeah, bindings, yeah, schema even for OpenAPI, Christoph, right? So even schema for OpenAPI is a complex topic. Did you talk about when you were talking about OpenAPI poster? Did you had a conversation if your poster also covers the schema, how schemas? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. This is one key thing.
Yeah. So because in AsyncAPI we have two things: something that is not in OpenAPI, that we can use different schema formats, so that we definitely need to have this. So it's reusability, protocol specific, pops up, and also the schema. But also on just a JSON schema, we probably should have some ideas like the complex schemas, how they can be structured. Right, and $ref, yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay, so we have 15 minutes left. I'm not sure if you're gonna be able to deep dive into other poster ideas. So maybe we should rather focus on figuring out how we go forward. Like, so basically the main question for Christoph, for you is, so are you, would you be interested to work with the AsyncAPI community to have this like AsyncAPI community cheat sheets, or you would rather prefer to have your own? Because I can imagine that you'd like also to have your like cheat sheets with some BumpSH banner that you'd like to share on conferences when you talk about BumpSH.
So I think there is definitely things that we need to do together. I mean, it would be stupid from us to just say, no, we're going to just do it on our own and that's it. There is things we can learn from each other. Now, saying this is the easy part for me because I'm not going to be the one doing the job because I don't have the skills for it. So I need to figure this out with the rest of the team. How much can they, be involved in an effort that leads also to something that is not owned by Bump. Probably the discussion we could have is also around how much can, Bump could reuse of those joint efforts to make maybe an own cheat sheet with, additional things from Bump, not just our logo and the link to our website, but maybe our own recommendations on things that we would do with AsyncAPI and so on. There's a bunch of things that, we need to make fair, absolutely fair for everybody. Now, again, I think it would be too bad that we don't join efforts on this. Do you see a bit my thinking here?
Yeah. So from license perspective, you can just copy paste and into your cheat sheets. So that's so the best would be definitely to cooperate together on different ideas. But if you then later on want to have BumpSH branded cheat sheets where you have like basically a copy of the open source cheat sheet, but with some BumpSH specific stuff, like for example, instead of AsyncAPI div, you maybe want to show the workflows in BumpSH and BumpSH div tool, etc. Then it's completely fair and fine, especially if you want to help out with because it's like the most work. Although I don't want to discourage the work of the. Not discard the hard work of designers, but I think the most difficult is to really come up with the content.
Absolutely.
And what happens later with design, if you take it up and you have it differently designed for your needs, that's a secondary. That's something that you can definitely, from the license perspective, do.
That's great. That sounds great. Again, I don't want to commit in the name of the people who would do the work in my team, so I need to check that with them, obviously. But I think it's just a great occasion to work, all together and to have an entire community benefit from it.
Yeah. And I can confirm because like I recently was in a similar discussion, but not cheat sheet. It was regarding trainings. Where one company, they wanted to work on AsyncAPI training, and they were concerned like that if they actually work with us, then because their goal was to promote their company as an expert in AsyncAPI, so obviously they want to have this training somehow published on their website. But we were checking all the licenses, especially with Linux Foundation, And in the end, whatever we even had a discussion with Linux Foundation that if we even have some official training on Linux Foundation portals, we can have it republished wherever we want because of the license anyway. So it's completely fine.
Sounds really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna look back with my team and see how we can make this happen. I guess the central point right now for communication is gonna be that issue that you're showing on screen right now. Yes.
Yeah, for now it is, but if we have more people willing to help out and we need to split, like we can then later, of course, have separate issues, separate discussions, whatever people that want to work on will agree on. But yeah, we can have separate discussion about specification, cheat sheet, separate about this one and the others. So that's for now, it's the main issue, but definitely we can split. Depends on the need.
Absolutely, sounds perfect.
Okay, cool. Anything from you, Ace or Sergio?
No, sorry, I was out of the laptop for 10 minutes.
No worries. So we were basically, I was last 10 minutes, I was just making notes about possible features. And Ace challenged me with if I can now explain him how I want to have pops ups and receive explanation in the cheat sheet. But I failed to give him the answer. And then we had just this discussion with Christoph, like if they help us out with the content, but obviously they would like to reuse it in their cheat sheets if it's possible. But yeah, from the license perspective.
Yeah, something that is worth to mention, I think, is that all of this should be based on version 3, right? Of the spec.
Yeah, so like from my perspective, yes, definitely it should be 3.0. And but yeah, I also asked this question, and I think we should aim for 3.0. But if somebody wants it for 2.0, then change, like modifying this and that should not be really difficult. So I would not say we should not generate 2.0. If somebody is happy to help out with 2.0 version, why not?
Oh yeah. But I wanted to mean like to aim for at least having version 3 covered.
Yeah. Although I imagine that for Christoph, it's probably both, right? Because it's in the end like from like we have two different perspectives. Like me, Ace, and Sergio, we're like focused on what's current with the AsyncAPI, so we're 3.0 folks. But I can imagine that if you have customers, then you want a cheat sheet for the version that the customers are using.
That's an excellent question. We haven't solved that one yet.
Yeah. Yeah, but again, as I'm saying, like it's really not once we have agreed like content for this, it's changing to 2.0. It's not going to be really difficult because like schema format, it was in 2.0, it's now in 3.0. Just the example will be a slightly changed. Pops up, it's still going to be, I think, confusing, even though we think it won't. So, but yeah, whatever explanation we provide, it's common for both specs. It's just different solution, different example. Bindings, the same stuff. Like it's 2.0, 3.0, it's the same. Even examples won't change. So I think it's okay if we focus on 3.0, and then if somebody wants to provide a 2.0 version, it's completely fine, and it shouldn't be really difficult to do.
Yeah, one question I have is basically, are we going to have like a recurring call for cheat sheet? More of like brainstorming, probably before implementation or once implementation starts? I mean, like it would make sense to have like more of this course.
Like you mean you'd like to have one? You're suggesting, or you're asking?
I'm just suggesting like
That
having
we should
more
have
of like Yeah.
I didn't think about it. I just wanted to have one to make sure that we openly on board whoever would like to join. But yeah, regular calls. Up to the people that would like to work actively on the cheat sheet. So not sure if we should now decide, especially that Christoph also needs to talk to his team.
Mhm.
So basically, I would say like yeah, whoever wants to help with cheat sheet should just write a comment in this issue, and then in the issue we can agree if we want to have this synchronous approach or rather asynchronously share the load.
Do you mind sharing the link to the issue on YouTube?
Oh yes. Sorry. I see there's a question. What are some of the good use cases for AsyncAPI? 3 out of my head. Documentation, obviously, that you can in a structured way provide documentation for your event-driven architecture. The second one is code generation. You can generate full applications or just some models for your application basing on the information from the AsyncAPI document. And the third I hear the most recently is it makes it much easier to manage your brokers, your team's access to different topics in the brokers. So basically, teams specify in AsyncAPI file what they need, and basing on this, they have a self-service that provisions topics or provisions access to some topics. So yeah, many different use cases. Do we have some inception here on my screen? Okay, so we I think we have everything we need. So the summary in the issue. So yeah, whoever is interested, drop comments in the cheat sheet, and let's continue from there, I guess. The whole discussion about regular calls, etc. Okay, we good?
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to have participated in this first call for me with the community.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for joining, Christoph. So yeah, have a good one. It's a Wednesday, not Friday, so don't. There's still half a week to work. Enjoy.
Bye, folks.
Bye bye.